Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. I am Nur Azida binti Ishaq from Polytechnic Sultan Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah. Now I will present Architecture Student Perception on Online Learning Readiness in Architecture Studio. So here is overall content of the presentation, which is introduction of the study, problem statement, research methodology, findings and discussion, and conclusion of the research study. So let's start with the introduction of the study. Currently, as we know, that most of teaching and learning process in the educational institutional been implement online learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Since this global pandemic, it significantly has impact have been felt around the world in terms of the environment, education, industrial, constructions, and even our social lives. This abrupt shift in the educational system from two-way communication between educators and students in traditional learning to an entire online learning system may result in unintended consequences. Changes on teaching and learning methods have affected the readiness of students to prepare themselves in a new method of learning. Online learning methods have more benefit and advantages in terms of times and place of teaching and learning. Based on previous research findings, there are a few problems have been identified. First, all the programs and teaching and learning in educational institutions switched to online platform. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated and expanded the use of online teaching and learning in all education institutions. Preparedness and readiness in adoption online learning among teachers and students remain moderate. Students have encountered significant challenges such as internet access and trouble understanding the topic matter. So, there is a need to identify the level of online learning readiness among architecture students to ensure that the teaching and learning process has achieved and successfully implemented. The study focused in identification 5 dimensions of online learning readiness among architecture students. They are computer internet self-efficacy, self-direct learning, learner control, learning motivation, and online communication self-efficacy. The lack of study in the particular issues, specifically in the implementation on online learning among architecture students, brings to this research study. The study aims to identify architecture student perceptions on online learning readiness toward the implementation of online learning in architecture studio. So to answer all these questions, the first objective was the need to identify the level of architecture student readiness on online learning. Second, to identify the difference of readiness on online learning between the genders. Since the study aims to identify the level of online learning readiness acquired by architecture graduates, the scope of the study focused on diploma architecture students from Polymas. This is a quantitative survey focused on respondents which students first to fifth semester in 2020 session as preparation for the continuity of online learning after the pandemic. This research is a quantitative research methodology. A quantitative approach is adopted in the study to gather information through a survey questionnaire to obtain data needed for statistical testing. A questionnaire survey will be carried out to architecture students who actively register in the Polytechnic. There are 108 architecture students and respondents from Polymas agreed to respond to the survey. Google Form used as instrument of the study. There are divided into 2 sections, which is respondent demography and 50 items in online learning readiness scale. Furthermore, analysis of the data will be using SPSS that will involve descriptive and inferential statistics. As for questionnaire items, there will be 2 sections, which is Section A will identify respondent demographic, Section B will identify the online learning readiness scale, consists of 5 dimensions of study, which is computer internet self-efficacy, self-directed learning, learner control, motivation for learning, and online communication self-efficacy. Mean score interpretation table used to determine the level of online learning readiness among architecture students, while 5-point Likert scale used to answer the questionnaire. SPSS version 25 was used to analyze the whole data. Cronbach alpha value used to measure the reliability of the items. As seen in Table 4, all the dimensions are valued more than 0.7. The alpha value is reliable if above than 0.6 according to Nunnally 1978. The analysis findings demonstrate that the questionnaire set is reliable and relevant to the research study. Finding for Objective 1. Level of online learning readiness among architecture students. The findings show architecture students' level for online learning readiness are at a moderate level. Among all of 5 dimensions, computer internet self-efficacy score the highest mean, which is 3.85, while the other dimensions score a moderate level with average score 3.11 to 3.59. The result is consistent with the finding from Rafi et al. 2021 and Hong et al. 2010. Table 7 demonstrates the finding on independent tests for online learning readiness of architecture students according to gender. Levin test showed there is a significant. The results showed there are variance between male and female students was difference. It was a significant difference for self-directed learning, motivation for learning, learner control, and online communication self-efficacy. Therefore, the null hypotheses are rejected. There is a difference in the online learning readiness among architecture students based on gender. However, there are no significant difference between gender for computer internet self-efficacy. Okay, to summarize all of this, the findings show that architecture student online learning readiness was at a moderate level. Academia needs to enhance the online learning to ensure that students able and prepared themselves for online learning in architecture studio. There is a significant difference between gender for self-directed learning, learner control, motivation for learning, and online communication self-efficacy. A further study needs to be done to see to what extent the online learning readiness could affect the learning, knowledge, and skill architecture student as a whole.